Okay, so today we're going to discuss the precipitation and agglutination reaction. So we have here the terms precipitation and agglutination. So the word precipitation here is just the reaction between a soluble antigen and corresponding antibody. And we have agglutination, we have here antibody plus a particulate antigen. So pag soluble na word na you are using, you're detecting for a soluble antigen, that's your precipitation. But if you are detecting particulate antigen, that's your agglutination. Okay, so we have here the factors that try to affects our antigen antibody binding. So number one, why your antigen antibody able to bind would be, you could have here the weak forces. Number one, you could have here your ionic bond. You could have here your hydrogen bond. You could also have your hydrophobic bond, and we have your van der Waals forces. So pag sinabing ionic bond, okay, pag sinabi nating ionic bond, so ionic bond here is the formation of the bond between two molecules or two substances which have an opposite charge. So dapat ang isa ay positively charged, the other one should be a negatively charged. On the other hand, we have here the hydrogen bond. Hydrogen bond, on the other hand, is being formed here between two molecules. And that one molecule here would have the oxygen of that. So pag malapit ito sa hydrogen ng another molecule, then they're able to form here the hydrogen bond. Then we have your hydrophobic. Okay, another one, we have your hydrophobic bond. Hydrophobic bond is being formed here between your non-polar molecules or non-polar na mga proteins, for example. So, dapat pareho silang non-polar or non-water soluble. And the last one, we have here your van der Waals forces, and that between the oscillating clouds of your oscillating dipoles of your ionic of your bonds. So again, the four here are weak forces, but then again, they try to help here in order for you for your antigen antibody able to bind to one another. But what specifically determines here the ability of your antigen to bind with your antibody would be okay. So it's always be your antigen will have here the epitope and the paratope ng ating antibody. This is a major determinant for your antigen-antibody affinity. So pag sinabing nating affinity, so affinity is just the interactive force, the ability of your antigen to bind with the antibody. And the affinity is being determined specifically by the homology or how specific your antigen with your corresponding antibody. Dapat specific siya. Because of course, the antibody produced here is because of the antigen which try to simulate its production. However, here sometimes your antibody could eventually able to react with the second antigen. Okay, for example, here antigen 1, we have your antigen 2. Okay, so if this one, for example here, if your antigen 1 is the one responsible for antibody production, so this is highly specific. So the antibody produced here would able to react only with this your antigen 1 because it is really the one which try to stimulate its production. However, here sometimes you could have here another antigen wherein your antibody produce, which is not really the one responsible for producing it, may react on that. Okay, provided this one, antigen 1, antigen 2, although they are different, but if they share some structural similarity, so your antibody here could cross-react on this one. So you call this one your cross-reactivity. Okay, so what determines specifically the binding of your antigen antibody will be the tawag natin na affinity. And affinity is highly dependent on the specificity of your antigen with your antibody. Okay, then we have here the term avidity. Okay, pag sinabi natin avidity, so avidity is just, okay, the sum of your, okay, if your antigen, antibody, kung affinity natin, antigen, okay, antibody, this is your affinity. Okay, antigen able to bind with your antibody is ability to bind, that's your affinity. But if you have already antigen antibody complex, the strength of the entire complex here, you call that one as your avidity. Okay, then we have here the precipitation curve. So under the precipitation curve, we have here the three areas. Okay, the zone of the equivalence. We have here the pro zone and we have here the post zone. The zone of equivalence is the area in your precipitation curve where you have your antigen antibody complex. Your antigen and antibody are in equal concentration. Since they are in equal concentration, expect to have a visible agglutination reaction. Pagka pro-zone naman, so it is the zone of the antibody excess. As sabing zone of antibody excess, your antibody is much higher or more concentration compared to your antigen. The post zone, on the other hand, is zone of your antigen excess. Pag sinabing zone of antigen excess, mas madami ka antigen compared to your antibody. Both your pro zone and your pre-zone and post-zones will give a false negative reaction. It's because here, hindi optimum ang concentration ng ating reactants. Again, in the pro-zone, madami sa antibody compared to your antigen. In your post-zone, mas madami sa antigen compared to your antibody. Therefore, it will not give a positive reaction for that. So, pag pro-zone, since madami ka antibody, ang remedy natin for that to have agglutination reaction is to dilute your sample. In order for that na mag-lessen ang concentration ng antibody para mag-same sila ni antigen natin as your agent. And therefore, you're able to have your agglutination reaction. Ang post zone naman, since marami ka antigen, so wala na tayong magagawa. Not unless just let the patients come back for, let's say, another week. So that would have here provide the patients an ample time for his body to produce an antibody para magkaroon sila ng zone of equivalence. Pero you could not remedy the post zone. But then again, both of that will have your false negative reaction. Okay, then we have here the types of precipitation reaction. So we have your precipitation in a fluid medium, precipitation by electrophoresis. So pag sinabi natin precipitation in the fluid medium, so just try to carry the reaction in a liquid medium. So all you need to do is just to add your reactants, i-add mo lang antigen sa antibody natin, and let it combine in a fluid or liquid na medium. Example for that, we have your turbidimetry and we have your nephelometry. Another one, precipitation by immunodiffusion. So we have the passive and we have with the use of your electrophoresis. Pag precipitation by passive immunodiffusion, pag precipitation by immunodiffusion, you carry that one in a support medium. Hindi siya sa liquid medium but in the support medium. Example of the support medium, you could have your agar, you could also your gel, where nasusupport mo ang entire agglutination reaction, makikita natin because of that. Okay, another one, we have here the difference between your diffusion as radial, and we have also here your linear.